Hey everybody, this is Paul Carruthers. I'm the communications manager for MotoAmerica, and this is MotoAmerica's weekly podcast, Off Track, with Carruthers and Bice. I'm joined as always by Sean Bice, who's out in Ohio, down here in Southern California, and we just got finished with a really, really good weekend of motorcycle racing at Road Atlanta, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta to be precise. We had a nice big crowd. The racing was outstanding. We had new winners. We had all kinds of stuff going on there, Sean. It was, I can't think of a better weekend.
Paul, if I was a cooler person, I'd just go, that weekend was off the hook, because that thing was so
God, that sounded bad.
Yeah, that's why I'm not cool. Yeah, man, that thing was chock full of goodness, though. Every bit of it. All of our classes were compelling. New riders, all kinds of brands on the podium, tons of fans, beautiful weather. I mean, it's just, you couldn't get any better than that. It was perfect.
And we got really lucky because the next day, I mean, we got out really early in the morning. It was just starting to sprinkle, but apparently the weather there turned horrendous. And I know somebody from the track, I guess, sent photos to Chuck Axel, and like the bottom of the S's was totally flooded. Like it was to the point where if that weather came a day earlier, we might have been out of luck. So actually, when you look at things like that and what they could have been, it makes it even better.
Yeah, I mean, I left the hotel at 9 on Monday morning, got in the vehicle, and turned on the Atlanta station I was listening to, and all of a sudden you heard that sound of the emergency broadcast system. And then from then on, there was one of the local weather guys was just doing play-by-play on this supposed touchdown of I shouldn't say supposed, I think it touched down west of Atlanta and moved right through, like right past Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but they said there was debris in the air, and the guy kept telling people to, seek cover. And I didn't hear what the outcome of it was, but I think it was pretty intense. And, it rained for me all the way home. So yeah, it went from, crazy perfect weather to suddenly it just went nuts after that. So yeah, we dodged one, and it was great. We always say, Paul, that first year of MotoAmerica was so strange that it rained every round on the schedule, which makes sense for the president of the company being named Rainey. But we got past that, and we're starting to get favorable weather now when we have our rounds, and it was perfect. But how about that weekend, and how about some of the wins, and Superbike especially? That was terrific to see, no doubt.
Yeah, and it brings us right to our guest, who is Jake Gagne. Jake won on Sunday, and it was his first MotoAmerica AMA Superbike win ever. And I don't know, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a gorilla he had on his back, but it was definitely a large monkey. I mean, this guy finished second 8 times last year. He hadn't won a race since 2015. Now, Jake, I'm going to bring you on here, and I'm going to tell you right now, except for us talking about it right now, aren't you going to be glad to not have to talk about it again?
Maybe. No, I mean, it was an awesome week, and I'm just glad it's only been a couple days and I get to talk to you guys already so soon. So that's the real treat.
Yeah, and it'll be nice because now that you've won, people won't talk about the fact that you haven't won.
That's always a little bit nicer for sure.
Did people ever talk about it? I mean, honestly, for me, I never really kind of thought about it because I guess we've seen you win so often in other classes, and you won on the R1 before in Superstock. So it kind of it never even was in my head that you hadn't won a Superbike race, plus racing in World Superbike as well. It almost seems inconceivable that you hadn't had a Superbike race yet. So do people ever ask you about that, or had they?
Not really, honestly, no. And like you said, of course, it's kind of a monkey on my back over the years, but it's a monkey I never felt or heard or saw, and yeah, like you said, even there was a lot of people on Sunday that was like, after winning, everybody say, oh, it's your first win. And there's a lot of people that said, really? Are you sure? I'm like, I think so. Yeah. But yeah, it is. It's like I said, been in the Superbike class a long time. And it's finally good to kind of put that together because we've been close, and I've had a lot of Superbike races in MotoAmerica and all these tracks. And like you said, it's been since 2015 when we were on the Superstock program on the R1 with Road Race Factory that I was up there. So
Well, Sean, when we were walking over the bridge from the podium ceremony to the press conference, I was I was with Jake and I reminded him about the 2015. I'm like, was that? And he's like, that was my last win. I mean, it was like, neither of us could kind of believe it, you know. I knew he hadn't won a Superbike race, but I was like, it just seemed unbelievable to me that Jake Gagne hadn't won anything since 2015. So it's really awesome to have you do that. And you know, every once in a while there's somebody that wins in the paddock that everybody's happy that they won, and this is one of those times, because I think even the guys that you beat, maybe not all of them, but most of the guys that you beat, you know, even they were happy to see that you finally were able to do that. The other thing that made this thing kind of cool is the fact that you went so fast. You had a lap record. You were on pole position. You know, even though Cameron's not there, I think it was really nice for you guys to be able to do such fast lap times that it wasn't like people just saying, oh, well, if Cameron was here, he would have won. Because based on the speed that you guys are now, the lap times that you guys are now doing, that might not necessarily be the case. So I think that's a pretty cool thing as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And like you said, you know, coming into this year after a year on the bike last year and making some changes, we were feeling really good and testing. And, you know, we want to come out swinging at the first round. We want to be good to go. And Atlanta's always been one of my favorite tracks. I knew we'd go well there. I knew that with what we've learned over the years and since last year, we kind of come out strong. And that was our plan, to just go straight on Friday off the truck and just do my own work, mind our own business and focus on ourselves. And we kind of knew where we wanted to be. The bike was feeling really good. And yeah, it was great to get a pole position. And we had some drama-free lap. You know, I had one little crash on Friday, made some work for those guys. And obviously with the issue we had on Saturday, made some more work for those guys. So finally we could leave Sunday in good spirits, and happy that all the hard work pays off.
Watching you ride now, you just look so comfortable. And I think you'll agree that that's obviously the level that you've reached now with the motorcycle and everything, is that there's this level of comfortability that makes it really easy, or not easy, but it makes it easier to go fast. What's the biggest piece of the puzzle that brought that comfort? I mean, is it the electronics? Is it a certain feel you have with the front? What is it exactly?
It's a combination, I think, of a lot of different puzzle pieces coming together. You know, with my bike, with the riding, with our setup, with the crew, everything's kind of stepped up, you know, with experience. And yeah, we made the bike's really not a whole lot different than how we rode it at Atlanta last year. I think a lot of it is just kind of our understanding of what it takes to go fast on that thing, and what it takes for me. You know, I've worked on my riding a lot last year and coming into this year, and I think, you know, like you said, it's noticeably different for me and the way I ride that R1. And you know, I was creating a lot of work for myself last year, and kind of overriding myself sometimes. And these super bikes, man, they got so much power. They really, you know, you can do too much work on them and make life a little harder. So I wanted to smooth out my riding a lot more this year, and work on technique and work on a lot of things that, not just trying to push my head down and haul ass, you know. In the past, that's kind of what I've always, I think, that's been my riding style, is just kind of hanging it out and trying to get everything that I can out of whatever I'm riding. And over the years, you know, with experience, getting older and getting more laps and more races, starting to learn how to make everything happen a little easier and how to be a little more present, and yeah, work a lot more on technique on how I'm riding the motorcycle and not just trying to wring its neck, you know. And again, you know, that's obviously a lot too. You know, we got some new changes with the bike, with the crew, with Corn Dog on my crew chief, and Darren Marshall doing electronics, and a couple little things. And again, you know, coming back to any track on the same motorcycle that you were on last year, you feel a lot more comfortable, ready to roll right off the truck on Friday.
You know, Jake, it's funny, on Saturday, I mean, you touched on it a little bit. You faced a ton of adversity, and, you know, I went over to see it towards the end of the day, and, you know, lamented the bad kind of luck you were having. And you I have to say, so there've been a couple things in history. Apparently, Babe Ruth at one time was at home plate and he pointed out in the outfield and essentially hit a home run right where he said he was going to do it. And Joe Namath, predicted he was going to win the Super Bowl when he was in it. And I'm not saying you were definitely going to win, but you had incredible confidence. You said, "Oh, we'll be fine for Sunday." And it actually changed my feelings towards what was going on. And I actually was like, "Yeah, you are." So you went out and you actually won it. I mean, I'm not saying you completely predicted you were going to win, but you seemed at the end of the day on Saturday that you had the confidence going into Sunday that you felt like you were going to do it. Is that the case?
Yeah, and again, we're not making predictions or
Right.
or wishful thinking or anything, but that's just me knowing what, we've been at that track all weekend. I knew the pace that I could run. And again, it's just about putting it together. And I knew, in my head, of course, I know where I'm going to be, and I have I have my visualization of what's going to go down, and I have my plan, and I have, and I'm ready to execute it, and as long as all those things come into play, then I kind of, I knew where I'd end up there. But especially after Saturday, obviously, I was pretty pissed off for a few minutes there. That was just a surprise. That's something that doesn't happen very often, these R1s, and for it to happen right there on the first, second, third lap or whatever on the opening round of the series, man, I was like, wow, could that really happen? And, sure enough, we shake it off. We let it go. It didn't bother any of us guys on the team. And, we got a lot of racing to go this year. But, and Sunday was just about executing the plan. And I figured we kind of got all the bad juju out of the way for the weekend. So I was pretty confident we could execute our plan and do what that Yamaha could do.
I want to talk to you a little bit about, you mentioned Corn Dog, and, Paul and I have known him forever. I mean, Jonathan Cornwell, and he's a former two-stroke 250 rider. He's got on the side of his lower leg, he's got a maple leaf, and the years that he won championships. He's from Canada, grew up in Kingston, Ontario, which was interesting. I only recently learned that. It was like literally right across the St. Lawrence River from where I grew up. But he's a guy that, we've all known for a long time, but don't really know him. He's kind of quiet. He stays in the back, or had been. I know in my experiences of seeing him with Westby Racing, he would kind of speak when he needed to, but over the past couple of years, I saw it sort of evolve. He would kind of get right up in Matthew's face, literally kind of stick his face almost inside the face shield. And he was talking to Matthew, and I was like, man, that's like surprising for a quote suspension guy to do that. And then lo and behold, he's your crew chief. I talked to him at COTA, and it was a totally different John Cornwell than I ever talked to. He was way more conversational than he'd ever been. He was speaking from the point of view of what a crew chief would talk about. And it just kind of surprised me. I was like, wow, that guy, obviously he's got a lot of experience, but that guy really is extremely good, and he's the right person for you. It's early days for you, but what's your assessment of Corn Dog and the fact that, what you knew about him before versus how he's doing with you now?
Yeah. I mean, he's a badass guy, man. We've got along really, really well. And I think obviously the guy's very, very wise. He's set up a lot of motorcycle. He's seen a lot of things. He's worked with a lot of different riders, a lot of different racetracks. And, you could count that experience all day long. And I think he's really enjoying the experience as a crew chief and kind of working with a couple more, working a little bit more with the team and putting all, like you say, all those different pieces together. And not only that, I think what's been great is he's, like you said, he's a racer, and he understands what it's like to be on that bike. And so with that, we can relay all the information really good. We can talk about our riding. He can say, we can look at this and say, hey, we can try to change the bike or do this, do that, or we can just work on that riding and, what are you doing? And so it helps with that to be able to really have a good string of language to kind of put all these things that we feel on the motorcycle together, And so I think with him having all that experience as a technician, as a suspension crew and all that stuff, and including his riding, when you put all that together, it suits me really well. So he's helped out a lot. And not only that, we got Darren Marshall, who's also from Canada, working on the electronics this year. And I still got, Mike Canfield and Walker on the bike. So it's good to have kind of those same guys around me, because they're really awesome to make for a fun weekend. So I think, and, you know, with Richard involved as well, he's still always there in the truck with us. And so it's just a good crew, you know, a really good crew. And I think we all get along well together, and we can really enjoy these race weekends for what they are. And but yeah, like you said, man, you nailed it. I mean, the guy's a badass, and he's really, really knowledgeable. And with that, it all comes together.
Well, Jake, I know you and Matthew Skoltz and Cam Peterson have you can tell, I mean, you guys have been friends for a long time, and not just like casual friends, but you're really good friends, and you hang out away from the races together. Is it more difficult to race those guys? Do you take extra consideration when you're racing them, or is it a case of like, you know, I want to beat my buddy as bad as I want to beat anybody else?
Yeah, it's always like that. Like you say, I know, I mean, me and Cam and Matt, I think I got a thing for those South Africans. I think, you know, they're always good dudes. And I guess, you know, I've known Matt since 2009, you know, we were 15 probably, and that was in Rookies Cup overseas. So he was one of my first good buddies over there. We spent a lot of time in Europe, and, you know, I spent some weeks and months at his house in Spain when we were living there doing some Spanish championship stuff back in the day. And so we've had a lot of time together. So and not only that, you know, we know how to race each other really well. We know each other's riding, and we can race each other hard and feel good. And obviously when Cam came over to the States, you know, maybe it was 2015 or something. I didn't know that guy either, but we kind of became really, really great friends right away, you know, and we've spent a ton of time together, riding together, hanging out. And, we've lived together for a little while, a couple of years ago in San Diego. And so, yeah, it's awesome to be on track with your buddies, man. And but when you're out, when that light goes out, you know, they're not so much your friends anymore. You want to beat them. And there's obviously a tremendous amount of respect between all of us, you know, not just us three, but everybody on that grid. You know, we all respect each other for what it is, but we're going to race each other hard. And but it is cool. It's cool to be able to, especially, you know, for instance, even at Road Atlanta on the cool down lap, you know, even beating Matty that day. And, you know, he's the first guy who's going to say, awesome, great job. And same with Cam on the cool down lap. It's always fun riding around with your buddies on the cool down lap when you're pumped. So, yeah, it's great, man. But I mean, there's this whole class, this whole paddock, the whole MotoAmerica paddock is just filled with amazing people, amazing riders. And, it's cool to see that type of paddock atmosphere, because I think, you know, I've seen a little bit in around when I've been racing in World Superbike or wherever it be, and it's just real home style, you know. It's cool because everybody's there having a good time. We're all there to work our best, work as hard as we can, and beat all our buddies, but at the same time, it's all, and we're there because we love it, you know.
After Saturday's issue, what's the mindset when you go into Sunday? Because in a way, you've already you have one race with no points. Does it suddenly concern you, like, okay, I can't screw this one up? Or do you just say, screw it, I've got no points yesterday, and I gotta send it today?
Yeah, I don't even think it's either of those. To me, the points aren't even in my mind. You know, it wasn't, hey, I gotta make up points, or it's do or die. To me, it's really none of that. It's just what we were talking about earlier. You know, we got a lot of racing this year. There's a lot of races, and anything can happen. And but our goal was just to do what we knew we could do on Sunday, and that was to try to win that thing and run the pace we wanted to run. And so, yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of pressure or you know, you got to do this because we started out like that. It was just, like I say, just kind of execute the plan that we wanted to do, and that was it.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, it even goes as far as, like, you know, Loris Baz has his MotoAmerica debut and doesn't finish either race, but you still have to consider the fact that, I mean, he may not have the same chance as everybody else at this point, but he's still in with a fighting chance because there's so many races and so many points available.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and that's a good example. I mean, that's always a nightmare to start the weekend, to start, you know, 2 races and no points, you know, for a guy like Loris and that team. You know, I know those guys want to be in there, and they were fast all weekend, and for that to happen, you know, but we all know, man, that's racing. And, you know, hopefully we, you know, get it out of the way and have a little more smooth sailing the rest of the year.
Yeah, I guess it's better to be 50 points behind in April than 50 points behind in September.
You're right. I mean, that's all that matters right there, right? So until then, everybody's just gotta do their thing and ride like
Jake,
they can. And
sorry, Jake. Hey, I was anxious I got a couple complicated ones I want to ask you about.
Oh boy, complicated.
Well, a little bit. They're complicated for my head, but I guess I can ask you about this between rounds better than during the weekend. But, has it last year, you've gone through a year on this team with the bike and you're reunited with the R1, and it's no secret that you go real well on that bike. Has it occurred to you, even after you got that win, or maybe even before that, like, have you thought, wow, if only I had this bike, or I was in this place and I was in World Superbike, because you see that Garrett's there now and doing what he's doing. Do you ever feel like, if I had this setup now, I could have really shown something in World Superbike?
No, man. I mean, I don't spend much time thinking about what ifs or,
Okay.
Of course I could have, I could tell myself, oh, if I was on this factory Yamaha 5 years ago and I jumped on the Superbike, it doesn't matter really. I mean, to me, everything that's happened, and, if it's surprising how fast life goes by, but I've been doing this motorcycle racing gig for a while now. And even MotoAmerica has been going strong now for a long time. And every year, no matter how bad or good it's been for me, has really brought a lot into my life, and I've a lot of learning and a lot of experience and a lot of, without all those times, I can't say I'd be in this position right now and have the feeling that I do now, but that's a good question. And I try to stay away from that. I'm really, really, really grateful for what I got and what every year has brought me to be here, and I'm just thankful I get to race motorcycles and have so much fun. And I really love it. I really love this team. I really love MotoAmerica and being at all these tracks. So I'm happy where I'm at, and who knows what'll happen in the future, but all I know is I'm happy where I'm at right now, and we get everything I can every race, and that's all I got.
Sean, I got to tell you, I think this guy, I could go to therapy with this guy in the mornings.
I agree.
And I might start doing that at the track, because like this morning I woke up, there was a little agitation and things were a little busy and a little hectic, and you listen to him and he just calms you down and he tells you everything's great. And I don't look at the past and I don't look at the future. And you're going to live until you're 110 years old, Mr. Gagne.
In the present moment, man. I think that's the only way to do it.
Well, you got to keep reminding me that this year, and maybe you can do some work on me mentally and get me off this fast train to alter that I'm on.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, it's funny because honestly, that's kind of way I felt on Saturday at the track. I mean, after what happened to you, Jake, I mean, I know you had a moment there where you're like, kind of pounding your fist a little bit, but you came in and I'm like gutted when I walk over to you, and I'm like feeling it so bad for you. And you're kind of like, oh man, dude, no, it's going to be good tomorrow. And I'm like, you snapped me completely out of that funk that was caused by what happened to you, and you weren't even feeling it. So it's an amazing attitude that you have going, for life. It's very cool.
And it takes practice. It takes years. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about motorcycle racing too. I mean, no matter, everybody has bad days, good days, horrible days. And no matter what, you learn, you could dwell on it all, or you could think about what's going to happen, what could happen, but all you got is right here and now. Right. So that's kind of, the more I focus on that in life, the more everything's more enjoyable, more easy, more peaceful. And it goes my way a little better too. So.
Well, here's another part of another question I have that's a little bit technical. Let me see if I can articulate this properly for you. So
right.
I want to talk about your riding style a little bit and what you do on the track, because obviously you are a teacher at American Super Camp and have done a ton of that. You've qualified for an AMA outdoor motocross race. You race moto. You understand all aspects of what a motorcycle can do, whether it's a road racer or a bike that's being ridden off road or a motocross track. So my experience is all in riding on the street, and I never ever use the rear brake, except if it's a situation where I'm in a panic and I need to stop really quick. But you're known somewhat for you not using the rear brake, and you understand it. And from what I've been able to pick up, it seems like this idea in road racing where you would kind of get all your braking done as you approach a corner and then turn in and roll through the corner is not the way it is anymore. So from your perspective, Jake, can you explain to us what your use of the rear brake is and what you're doing mid corner, and how important is that rear brake to what you're trying to do?
You know, it's a tool on the motorcycle, and it can help. You know, it can hurt, it can help. I've been in both situations. You know, and growing up riding motocross, growing up doing super camps and riding some flat track, you know, you get a feel of what it can do and what it cannot do, and every motorcycle is different. You know, I've been over the years, I've ridden bikes without you know, super bikes without much traction control at all, or no wheelie control. And in a situation like that, man, the rear brake can be your friend to help calm the bike down or help get it to wheelie a little bit less or get it in the turn a little bit better. But and you know, nowadays, even on my Yamaha R1 now, of course I'm using it, and I'm using it a lot of different parts on the track, but I'm trying not to overuse it as much as maybe I've done in the past. And with that being said, it just helps. Our electronic packages are they're so good nowadays. You know, I mean, we got wheelie control, we got traction control, and we can adjust engine brake settings and all that. And so, and even for me, that's something I've been working on. Especially, I worked on it all last year, and even coming into this year, and settling the bike down, or if it's kind of hurting me, you know, and that, you know, and again, every motorcycle is different, and so it's kind of, I guess, over the years you learn that, you know, learn what's going to work and what's not going to work. But yeah, I think, again, like, you know, being able to, I've ridden a lot of different motorcycles in my life, and, you know, dirt bikes and on asphalt and flat track or whatever, and I think it all just comes down to technique, you know, and no matter, you can't ride every bike the same because everything's different on the things, you know. And so the more you work on technique on each and every, you know, whatever you're riding, I think that's the key, really, you know. And again, that's like what we were talking about earlier. I've been working on my technique a lot more, especially this year, last year, and working on that more than just all out speed. You know, things can come a little bit easier and a little bit more in control, and that's when everything starts to feel a little bit better. So.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about related to, you know, let's focus on road racing here for a minute. You think about, and I'm going to use a point in your life, certainly when you raced in World Superbike, but even before that, if you think about when you raced in Superstock and won the championship, I think I know the answer to this, but I want to ask you anyway and have you expound on it. Are you a different rider now than you were, say, when you were in World Superbike?
Yeah, of course. You know, I'm a different rider every race, every year, for sure. And, you know, again, and we could go back to talk about, well, what if I was there again, you know, now, but,
right.
you know, I learned so much over the years, and even in World Superbike again, man, that was a really tough year for me at times. But again, it was one of the most eye-opening years of my life. You know, I was in the classroom all year long with some of those guys, the best guys in the world on those bikes. And, you really figure out what you got to do, you know? But you know, who knows?
Okay, Jake, in a couple of weeks we go to VIR, and I found it kind of interesting on the podium. I mean, in the press conferences, it seemed like every class, somebody always mentioned, you know, that they can't wait to go to VIR because
Yes.
it's their favorite track. And
Yep.
I know sometimes people say that because they want the guy next to them to think, oh shit, this guy's gonna be really fast at VIR because it's his favorite. But it is a pretty cool track, and it seems to be very popular with the riders. Is it a place that you enjoy racing at as well, and you think you'll have good fortune there?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think, like you said, everybody loves that place, man. It's very unique, and all the, you know, you got all that elevation, you got all those switchbacks, and to me, I'm really looking forward to going there. Especially we didn't get to VIR last year. So this year, this time, I'm just stoked to get on this tack Yamaha and around that track, because I think we're really going to roll in. You know, for me, I've always just loved that track. Even back, you know, we raced it in 08 in Red Bull Rookies Cup on 125. So I've always loved that class. I think it really, really suits my style and the way I want to ride this bike, and I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, it's cool. I'm glad we got the year finally underway. You know, seems like that off season creeps by slow, and now once we finally get past the first race, everything starts clicking through. So. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to get to VIR. Hopefully we get some nice weather out there and another good turnout, because it was great to see how many people were out there at Atlanta, man. That was really, really cool. And so we'll keep that ball rolling.
And you mentioned how nice it was to go back to Road Atlanta with the same motorcycle, et cetera, and basically a lot of the same team. I guess going to VIR, since we weren't able, for the people that aren't aware, we weren't able to race at VIR last year because of COVID-19. So you don't have that same experience, but it's probably pretty much the same for most of the guys that are your competition at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I think, a lot of us have had some laps there in the past, and again, hopefully, I think we'll get some good weather there. Hopefully, and either way, it'll be fun. And everybody enjoys that track, like we were saying, and it'll be fun. It'll be great racing. It was cool to see how good the racing was in every single class, last weekend in Atlanta, and so it'll be really cool again to see that go down on VAR.
Look, Jake, coming into this past weekend, there was obviously a lot of anticipation by the fans, by us here in MotoAmerica, and I'm sure also by the riders about, Loris Baz coming in and how he was going to stack up. Mm-hmm. And, we saw him at the test. We saw him lay down some fast laps. He was obviously at the front in both races, had some couple situations happen. So what is your assessment so far of him, and what do you think? Is he's just going to be a factor you're going to have to deal with all year? And have you talked to him much? What do you think about his style of riding on the track and all that? Give us a sort of a scouting report on Loris Baz.
Yeah, I got to race with Loris a little bit when I was in World Superbike. He was also over there, and I get to talk to him a little bit occasionally. He's a nice guy, really great guy. And, but man, I mean, we had, there was people saying, yeah, he went really fast at Texas, and people saying, oh, wait till he gets to Atlanta, or wait till he gets here or there. But I mean, the guy's a world-class rider. I mean, he's been in World Superbike, he's ran a GP, he's learned countless tracks over his life. And so that's what I tell people, man. He'll be there every weekend. It's not going to take him long. He's a bad dude on a motorcycle. He's got a great team. So yeah, he's like, again, he's a world-class guy. He's going to figure these tracks out, and he's going to be fast. And so we got to expect those boys to be there every weekend, and same with the Suzukis, same with, all these guys out there on the grid. Everybody, especially the further you get into the year, everybody starts getting more and more comfy. And, but it's good, man. I'm pumped to see the race, and the racing is going to be really, really good this year. Not that it was, Cameron made it a little bit tiring for us last year, maybe a little boring at times. I know he was loving it up there, but it'll be a fun show this year. So yeah, hats off to all those guys.
I want to talk real quick about your move from San Diego to Colorado. I know this is something you've been discussing also, but it's kind of a big deal because I know leaving San Diego was obviously difficult for you with, your hobbies of surfing. And I think you just fit nicely into that San Diego lifestyle. But then when I think about it, I moved to Colorado, and I spent some time there this past summer, and I'd never really spent any time there. I mean, that seems like a state that was made for Jake Gagne, if not San Diego. So are you settled in nicely, and are you happy with the move?
Yeah, man, I'm absolutely loving it. Obviously it's never hard to leave. It's always hard to leave your hometown. I've been in San Diego my whole life. And man, I'm 27 now. You guys keep making me bring it up. We talked about it the other day too. And it was time for a change for me. It was hard. The only thing that was keeping me in San Diego was, I love the beach. I love the waves. And, but other than that, there's more and more people, there's less and less space, and just, the city rush, and so it's good to get out of there. It was something I kind of thought about all last year. And I've spent a lot of time in Colorado riding for Road Race Factory all those years. We were always testing, and I was always up hanging out, up near Denver and Fort Collins and stuff like that. So I've always loved it. And yeah, I was just ready for a change, and I got, I'm just loving it out here. I got everything. My program's really, really dialed in. I got good friends, good family out here. And, yeah, I'm loving it.
All right. Well, that's a good place for us to end. And we really appreciate you coming on the show. It's nice to have you just a couple of days after that first win. So it's very cool. And we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. And I think you're going to, it would be hard to bet against you having a really, really good year this season. And I think you'll challenge for that championship right down to the very end. So congratulations on that. And good luck going forward. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. But I know Sean's probably got something to say before we let him go.
Yeah, I mean, for those that went to Road Atlanta, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and were there with us, you know that we had huge crowds there, and people had said it was the size of the crowd sort of rivaled with the best days of the old days of AMA Superbike or the AMA series. So, thank you to all the fans that came out, and for those that are planning to go to VIR, we're looking forward to seeing you there. And if you hadn't thought of going there, you gotta come and see, for sure, this HONOS Superbike class with a very level playing field and a lot of riders that are going for it. And you just don't know who's going to win. I mean, Matthew Skoltz won one, Jake Gagne won the other, and they may double coming up. They might share. It might be Baz. It could be Bobby Fong, Cam Peterson. There's a lot of options as far as who might win. So it's definitely something that we're excited to see, and we hope you'll join us there. And the way to do that is get on MotoAmerica website, go to our schedule, and click on tickets, and you can figure out what you want to do from camping or what kind of ticket you want to get, and also either or both. Make sure you subscribe to Live Plus, our subscription streaming service, which is a fantastic way to follow all of our classes, practices, qualifying, races, and you get them in video on demand after the weekend's over. Sometimes it takes a little while to upload them, but they're on there so you can review them along the way too. So there's just a lot of ways to consume our product, which is MotoAmerica, and it's among the best road racing in the entire world. And one of the reasons for that is a guy like Jake Gagne, who we're thrilled to have had on this podcast. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And again, like you said, Sean, hats off to all the fans who made it out of Atlanta, because it really was a huge turnout. And for us racers, man, it really does make the difference seeing all the energy out there and talking to so many people throughout the weekend. And man, I talked to a ton of people that it was even their first ever motorcycle race or even race of any type. So I got to meet a lot of cool different types of people out there. And so yeah, I look forward to seeing all you guys, the rest of the year. Make sure you make it out, if you can. And especially after last year, kind of going to some of those racetracks where it's a ghost town and there's nobody there. It's a whole different atmosphere. So hats off to the fans, all you guys at MotoAmerica for putting it together, and all the sponsors of the series. And because everybody, after, this bowl, everybody wants to get out and get back to the races. So thank you, guys.
All right, boys. I appreciate the time, and y'all have a good rest of your day.